Hi, my name is John from Dublin Diagnostics Car Inspections. Today I'm prompted to do this video because of something that keeps on reoccurring. On Friday I went to a big garage, a garage that I would consider a good garage. This isn't one of these shady garages that I know of, but a good garage, and I went to do an inspection on a 2014 Volkswagen Polo. I had a look at this car, looked good in the pictures, white in colour, 47,000 miles on the clock. Went out and had a look at the car. Now, when I inspected this car, I found the car had been crashed. I found the front chassis leg on the passenger side was still bent. Driving the car had a very bad pull to the left-hand side. Closer inspection on this car showed that there were 5 different colours on the car. Now, I don't mean the same colour was used in 2 places, but there was actually 5 different colours. Now, I can tell that there's 5 different colours because I have machinery that I have with me. I have gauges that can check colours. I have gauges that can check the thickness of the paint. So there was 5 different colours on this car. Looking in under the bonnet, I noticed that the original headlights were not there. So on one side of the car was one make of headlight, which looked like it had been there for a while. And on the other side of the car, there was another make of a headlight, and it looked like it was brand new. So that means the non-original headlights had been gone out of it at some point in the past and refitted with, a spurious make, which is fine. And then at some later stage, the car was crashed again, and it now had another make of headlight on the other side. So this car, I reckon, had been crashed minimally twice. Now, also looking down, I found that the transmission had all sealant all over it. So the transmission had been rebuilt in this car at 47,000 miles. Now, I'm not saying it's not possible to wear out a transmission at 47,000 miles, but it's very unlikely. So this particular car looked like it had been crashed at least twice, still with a bent chassis, transmission rebuilt at 47,000 miles, and the car just drove like a dog. Now, that was in a very good garage. So the lesson here is, the best of garages have bad cars, and the worst of garages have good cars. Now, that's a simple thing to know about. So let me tell you about crashed cars and give you a little bit of knowledge on the subject of crashed cars. I started out in 1969 as a panel beater and spray painter, and after many years I became allergic to the paint and the materials used, and I swapped over to working on the mechanical end of cars. So back in the day, I have worked on Ferraris. I've repainted Ferraris, I've done panel beating on Ferraris, and back in the day we didn't have things like body filler. We used to use lead. Anyway, so suffice to say, I'm a bit of an expert in bodywork. So let me tell you about crashed cars. I'd say on average there's probably 100 to 200 cars a week coming into Ireland from the UK and Northern Ireland that have been accident damaged. These cars are all bought by garages. Very few are actually bought by private individuals. So they're all going into garages. And what happens to all these crashed cars? Well, in the estate where I work, which is a little industrial estate for cars, at least 20 of these cars per week are rebuilt in our little horseshoe of cars, car garages. So if this one little corner is doing 20 a week, and they're all going out into garages. So what happens when I go out to inspect the car? Well, chances are some of these cars are going to be inspected by me, and I have to look over these cars, and of course, being an expert in bodywork and so on and so forth, I spot them fairly fast. Now, I don't have a problem with a car that's been crashed and repaired, providing the car is being crashed and repaired properly. Because if you look around, you'll find that in the whole country there are many hundreds of panel beating companies who are repairing cars all day, every day. So if it wasn't okay to repair a car, well, they wouldn't be in business. So it is okay to repair a car, providing it's done properly. And this is where it starts to get a bit dodgy. The one on Friday that I just described to you was a very poor job. A lot of money. The car was up for €11,000. Somebody would buy that car. Somebody else will buy that car, because just because my customer didn't buy it doesn't mean anything. The next idiot that's going to walk in there without getting an inspection will buy that car. So that's okay. The dealership doesn't really mind. That's the luck of the draw. This is the idiot that doesn't have the car inspected. They deserve what they get. Why should the garage care when the customer doesn't? That's the attitude, and that's the reality of the business. If it goes to a court case, they'll handle it when it comes up. But in the meantime, somebody's going to buy a dog of a car. So going back to these crash cars that are coming in from the UK. Now, let me just explain something to you. If you look on the internet today, and today is a Sunday, you will find probably in the region of 500 unrecorded crash cars for sale in the UK. Now, what do I mean by unrecorded? Well, I mean, there's no category. It's not written as a write-off. So in other words, the car is crashed and it's unrecorded. Now, in the UK, cars are unrecorded. Now, if you go out in the UK and you crash a 2019 car, and say, for example, you smash that car back to the bulkhead, there's nothing left of the car. It's completely and totally and utterly back to the bulkhead. Engine mounting's broken, chassis bent, airbags gone off, but it's 2019. It's very unlikely that car is going to get written off by the insurance company, because they know they're going to lose too much money on it. So that car goes on the market as unrecorded salvage. And that's the way it is. Insurance companies do that all the time in the UK. So make no mistake and think that just because a car is crashed, it's going to be recorded. No, it's not. That's just not true. Now, on the other hand, you can get cars that are recorded which have nothing wrong with them. Do you want me to say that again? Yeah, you can get a car in the UK that is recorded as a category write-off and that has nothing wrong with it. Maybe a scratch. Now, how can this be? Well, if you were in the business, you'd know. And cars that are snatched, used in the scene of crime, are taken by the police over there and impounded. And that car can sit in an impound for a year, 2 years, and the insurance company pays out on it. And because they've paid out on it, they've recorded it. Another way a car is recorded, but there might be little or nothing wrong with it. Say this little old lady, 75 years of age, goes in her driveway and scratches the wheel arch, and she puts it to her insurance company, and the insurance company pays for the scratch on the wheel arch. She gets the car back, and a week later she goes, misjudges it again and scratches the other wheel arch. Now the insurance company have 2 hits on that one car, and now that car is a write-off, even though it only has had 2 scratches, right? So that would be it. So you can have unrecorded cars that are smashed to pieces, and you can have recorded cars that have nothing or little or nothing wrong with them, but only a scratch. So there you have it on that particular subject. Now, the problem I have with this is that the garages are not telling the customers that these cars have been crashed and recorded. Now, or crashed and unrecorded. Just before Christmas, I had 2 in one day. One for 18,500, still had a bent chassis in it. I hadn't told the customer had paid the deposit on the car, had to get their money back when they found out the car was crashed. Then on the same day, I went to another garage for a car for 14,500. This time there was no bent chassis in the car, but what they had done was they had replaced the shock absorbers in the car, and one shock absorber was good and one shock absorber was bad. So the problem there was when you went over a bump, the car jumped all over the road. So for €14,500, you were getting another car that was crashed, and the customer wasn't told about it. Both of those cars were actually recorded, and both of those cars, the people had given deposits on them, and both of those cars were not repaired correctly. So you've been told this before, and I'm going to tell you one more time. The law in Ireland is buyer beware. If you're going to buy a used car, have it checked out. Don't think you know everything, just get it checked. Thank you for watching.